Hi, everyone. Welcome to our next GoFly Master Lecture with Dr. Marilyn Smith and Mike Hirschberg. It's my pleasure to introduce them to you this afternoon. Mike Hirschberg assumed the duties of Executive Director of the Vertical Flight Society on June 1st, 2011, after 20 years in the aerospace industry, primarily in vertical flight. As the Executive Director, he is responsible for the execution and the strategic direction set by the VFS Board of Directors. He was previously a principal aerospace engineer with CENTRA Technology, providing technical and program management support for over 10 years to DARPA and the Office of Naval Research on advanced aircraft and rotorcraft concepts. Prior to this, Mr. Hirschberg worked from 1994 to 2001 in the Joint Strike Fighter Program Office, supporting the development of the X-32 and X-35 vertical flight propulsion systems. Mike is an internationally known lecturer and is the co-author of more than 100 publications on helicopter, STOL, and advanced aircraft developments, including 3 books. He holds a BS in Aerospace Engineering from the University of Virginia and an ME, Mechanical Engineering, from Catholic University of America. He holds an MBA at the Virginia Polytech Institute and State University and is an Associate Fellow of the AIAA and a Fellow of the Royal Aeronautical Society. Welcome, Mike. Thanks so much for joining us today. And Dr. Marilyn Smith is a professor in the Daniel Guggenheim School of Aerospace Engineering and Associate Director of the Vertical Lift Research Center of Excellence at the Georgia Institute of Technology. Dr. Smith received her PhD from Georgia Tech in 1994 while working in industry from 1982 to 1997. Dr. Smith performs research in the areas of nonlinear computational aeroelasticity using CFD and the integrated multidisciplinary areas of unsteady aerodynamics and acoustic fluid structure interactions across rotating and fixed wing vehicles and systems. It's my pleasure to welcome both of you to our master lecture this afternoon. And Mike, if you would like to get us started.
Great, thanks so much. I should have given you the shorter bio.
All great accomplishments.
All right. All right, you can see my screen okay?
Yes, all set, thank you.
Great, so we're going to talk today about tactical resources. So for those GoFly competitors who need more information about vertical flight, look no further because that's what we've been doing for 75 years. Originally founded as the American Helicopter Society in 1943, so we just hit our 75th anniversary. This is just a few weeks after Sikorsky won its first, the first American helicopter contract. So this is about 75 years of the American helicopter industry as well. But we were originally formed for the purpose of collecting, compiling, and disseminating information concerning the helicopter, and obviously as there were other VTOL aircraft developed afterwards. That was added a few years later. We've always been a international nonprofit. For those who are steeped in history, you'll recognize a number of British pioneers. So during the World War II, the Allied countries band together to help give birth to the helicopter in operational periods. So over the 75 years, we've expanded now with about 6,000 individual and 100 corporate members, and our whole purpose in life is to advance vertical flight worldwide. So we're the professional society. We're not an association. We're a society for people working to advance vertical flight, and that's everything from micro aero vehicles, quadcopters, helicopters, eVTOL, and civil aircraft, so like the F-35. Our whole purpose is education and expanding knowledge about vertical flight and help promote its application around the world, which is why we've been working with the GoFly team for I guess about 4 years now. Also advancing safety and acceptability, advocating for vertical flight research and development, and we have a lot of stuff for students, scholarships, design competitions, and all kinds of great inspirational things. We have a magazine, Vertiflight, on vertical flight, which highlights a lot of the trends in technology and development. We were one of the first people to start talking about electric VTOL 5 years ago. So lots of different topics that we cover to inform our members and inform the public on what's going on in vertical flight. We have conferences around the world that are relevant. Many of them are relevant to GoFly and the technology behind creating personal air vehicles. You see the list here. One in January, for instance, is on autonomous VTOL and electric VTOL. Of course, our 75th anniversary forum coming up. We have technical committees in all these different disciplines. We also have a integrating committee on electric VTOL that brings eVTOL technology into each of these technical committees and technology to advance. We started a eVTOL.news, expansive. It has a very expansive directory of more than 120 different concepts that people are developing on electric vertical flight. We've got different social media aspects. We have 80 or 90 different articles, in-depth articles on different eVTOL and related technologies that have appeared in our VertiFlight magazine. We have an email newsletter. We have YouTube videos, technical paper proceedings, etc. As mentioned, we've been working with the GoFly Prize for several years, 2015, and helped provide the basis or help support the launch of the program. Because of that, we're one of the partner organizations, the very first, and we're actually offering free membership to one person on each of the phase 2 competitor teams, and also providing online access to our journal, our technical journal. In addition, for teams who are now companies, you can expand this to called a small business membership, and that gives full access to all 11,000 PDF technical documents. And normally that rate is $2,500, and it's for the teams here it's $1,000, so it's 60% off. And here's the contact information. So membership@vtol.org for our membership director. And all of the phase 2 registered teams and the phase 1 winners should have gotten emails about this, but anybody that wants to compete, or anybody that registers to compete, can sign up for their free membership and online access to our journal. So just a summary, and Dr. Smith will go into in depth on how to use these different tools. But again, the journal, we've been publishing it for over 65 years on helicopter and VTOL technology. It's the world's only peer-reviewed technical journal on VTOL. Again, it's a free access for a member on each of the teams. We also have our vertical flight library. Originally, we were called American Helicopter Society, so the AHS online store. It's rebranded now as a vertical flight library, but either URL will work. So all of our VertiFlight magazines since the 1950s are online. I've mentioned before 11,000 PDFs, which is 34 gigabytes of data. And it's available if you're a member. It's about 50% off. Some of them are free, but it's about 50% off. And then for universities and corporate members in certain categories, they can also get this access as well. Finally, a couple other resources. We have a vertical flight encyclopedia called Flightpedia. This is a member-developed capability, so we are asking for, or we're asking for, and we've been receiving members to help populate this. So 800 some aircraft, lots of links and lots of information about different aircraft, people, organizations, power plants, etc. We are also developing a next iteration of that will be launched, I think probably should be by the end of this month, but you can see an early version of it in the development stage at VertiDev, but it has most of the features, just not everything has been worked out yet. But we have an online professional networking platform called Hover. So you can post messages and communicate with some of our 6,000 members. Our vertical flight gallery, you can have access 10 gigabytes of data. And we have a jobs board, a career center as well. So with that, I'll now hand over the presentation to Marilyn, and she's going to give you some instructions on how to actually access and use these resources.
Great, thank you. Let me try to get everything up to speed here. Let's see. All right, is that showing?
Yes.
Yes, great. Okay, so I'm going to take over from what Mr. Hirschberg started talking about and go a little bit into some of the details. Let me see. Not sure. It looks like it's not playing the whole time. Okay, so let's go through here. Again, as he mentioned, it's the previously the American Helicopter Society. It's the place where all of us who want to know about vertical flight go. It's the premier source of technical data across all the disciplines associated with vertical flight, and this can include helicopters, rotorcraft, unmanned air vehicles, next generation vertical lift, personal air vehicles. It includes advanced concepts, aerodynamics, aeroelasticity, crew station, design, handling qualities. In other words, pretty much everything that you need to know, there is someone who is working in that area, and this is where we publish. This is where we present. This is where we go to get that information. There are others who will sometimes host sessions, such as AIAA, but this is considered to be the premier place to go if you're in vertical lift. Now, there were some sources of information. As a technical person, we have our peer-reviewed Journal of the American Helicopter Society. In addition to that, there are proceedings of the Vertical Flight Society annual forums. There's a lot of great information there. A lot of people don't go all the way to publish, especially a lot of the companies. Typically, the journal has more of the academics publishing, but a lot of the companies just publish at the conference, which is we call our forum. There are also specialist meetings. So you'll see aeromechanics specialist meeting. You'll see eVTOL specialist meetings. Those are places where all the specialists come together, and those are sources of information that you can access as well. Furthermore, we have some twinned meetings with the Europeans, the EU, that's the European Rotorcraft Forum, and also more recently is the Asian Rotorcraft Forum. So those papers are there, so you get a broad spectrum, not just from US folks, but also all the way across the world. Of course, everyone comes to the annual forum. It's the global place to be. We also hold joint meetings with AIAA and ASME. So you'll see those, and those papers that are presented there are in the typical AIAA meeting papers, for example. Also, as Mr. Hirschberg mentioned, a lot of these new ideas are published in Vertiflight. So these are more concepts as opposed to technical details that you'll find with some of the journal papers. Flightpedia, frankly, Flightpedia is a great resource, not just because it has access to vehicles, but you can find directly all of these different sources of information that I have listed here. You can find them through the Flightpedia webpage, which, remember, Mr. Hirschberg mentioned was changing, but right now you can still get it on Flightpedia. Now, the most important thing is, how do you find all this information? So I'm going to take you through some of these. I'm going to give you some of my suggestions after having worked here for 30-some years now in vertical lift. If you have a library database, I recommend that you use Compendix. That will get you not only the Vertical Flight Society information, it'll get you across the spectrum. Of course, sometimes that's too much information. I did some searches in preparing for this, and I got some really outlandish results. And sometimes you'll get 1,000 results, and in actuality, what you really want is just 10 or 20 when everything is said and done. So if you have nothing else, Compendix is fine. Just you'll have to parse through a lot of information. Another great resource is the NASA Technical Report Server. I've listed the URLs here, and you should definitely try to take a look at that. In fact, I'm going to show you another web page in a moment where you have some great NASA information. Now, those are basically NASA reports, and you won't find those things typically in a lot of the other search engines. The Vertical Flight Library, as I mentioned, you can have access to all of these papers, to the vertical flight articles, prior forum proceedings, as well as some books. So that's a great resource. And of course, you know, with your membership, you will get access to some of those, and then you can buy expanded access to get towards everything. Flightpedia, I'll demonstrate that in a few minutes. I really like Flightpedia because it helps to sort out all of those other things. You look for dynamic stall, for example, and you'll get dynamic stall for a bunch of resources, but not necessarily what you're looking for. So rather than spending a lot of time going through and getting rid of resources, this one actually helps you focus on the rotorcraft and the vertical lift resources. Now, I did want to mention this. There is a free downloadable technical set of books. It can be found at this URL, and I'll take you there in just a moment. This is a 3-volume set. It's by Frank Harris, who is a very eminent very eminent engineer, I guess is the best way to say it, in vertical lift. He had a very storied history, very well-known, very highly acclaimed career. He's retired now. He's written these 3 books, volumes 1, 2, and 3. 3 just came out. If you don't have the funds to buy some of the technical textbooks that you'll see out there, these are great alternatives. And the nice thing about it is that there are different concepts in here, and you get the history behind a lot of them. And history is important because you want to know what worked and what didn't. And Mr. Harris really goes through these in these books. So they're a great resource, and again, they're free. Now, the Vertical Flight Society, if you're a member, you'll see that you have a lot of different things that you can choose from. We'll go through that. You'll also see a lot of the news. That's great in keeping things up. Mr. Hirschberg also mentioned Hover, which is our discussion forum. I've seen a lot of people ask technical questions there, and you will get a lot of free advice. Everyone likes to talk about their favorite topic, which is vertical lift. Flightpedia, which again, I'm going to show you what it does in a few minutes. This is, in my mind, the resource you probably want to go and get some in-depth data. So let's leave this here then, and I'm going to bring up some web pages so I can show you what we have here. Let's see if this works. We tested it right before we started. Let's make sure it works again. Let's see. Is that showing online now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is that NASA page. What I wanted to show you is, I just wanted to go here because the books that I mentioned by Mr. Harris, you have to scroll down. So here they are. You see those 3 books. There's also a lot of other information if you're interested, but this is your great free textbook resource if you want to get equations and again look at the history. Now, when you go to then the vertical flight site, I recommend that you come here to Flightpedia. And the reason is this page right here. So you see it says search for resources. So let's do a search so that I can demonstrate it for you. Let's look for coaxial rotors. I see, well, you can see I tested this earlier. So with coaxial rotors, we'll submit our query. I know this is a topic that many of you are looking at. So you'll see a number of things. Let me blow this up a little bit. There we go. All righty. So we see that we have resources provided through AHS International. That's being updated, as Mr. Hirschberg said. But here you can see a couple of things. There are a couple of forum proceedings. Now here, these are just coaxial rotors in the title. There's actually a lot more here, but this is a great place to start. Now, if you like what you see here, for example, let me pick this one, then of course you can go to the store where you can actually purchase that paper, or remember, if you're a member, you log in and it'll be free if you have opted to get that. So a lot of folks, this is a great thing to purchase, because having all of these, access to all of these is a huge resource for you. You're not limited. You can download as many as you like. My group uses this all the time. But beyond that, besides just the forum proceedings, you'll see that there are Vertiflight articles. In this case, there were none. But on the AHS website, you can see a number of different things. And this isn't just papers. You'll see meetings. You'll see investigations. You'll see programs from other forums. You'll see a lot of papers here as well. So here's one on rotor noise. This was actually, I believe, presented at a European rotorcraft forum. And there's a lot of different things. So depending on what you're trying to find, sometimes you may be looking for very technical things like you would if you're a student. Sometimes you may be looking for something else. There's a lot of great noise papers on here as well. So these are great resources, because that's a very key parameter in the next portion of the GoFly competition. Then there's also the journal articles, and here we go. You see a lot of them showing up. And so you see there's a lot of different things, and a lot of things that you probably want to consider if your particular design has coaxial rotors. You'll see comparisons of here coaxial and conventional rotors, how to do the figure of merit for those, which tells you how to hover, which you definitely need to be doing. Then, of course, correlating between full and model scales. So a lot of you might be doing some small flight tests. So how is that going to work when you try to get it up to your full design? So this is a huge resource. And you see here many, many, many papers that go back many years, but also are the latest and greatest papers that are out there. So a great resource. And again, here you'll see, let's see what happens when we click on this one. Searching is a little bit slow, but here we go. So here is the paper in the volume of the Journal of the American Helicopter Society. We're keeping that name because it has a great citation rate, and everybody looks for this as the premier journal where you publish for vertical lift. So once again, for those of you who are members, you go back, you remember Mr. Hirschberg said that some of you of the teams are getting access to some of this information. So you'll definitely want to look into those as well. So if you're looking just for a topic, this is a great way to go. Let's see if I can go back to all of my things. Let's see, that won't work. Yes. Well, I didn't want to go there. Okay. I think this will go back. Here we go. Now, the other thing that you can do is not just look for a term. If you're looking for a specific person, say, for example, you know, Frank Harris worked on the Bell Kiowa vehicle. So you can look up Frank Harris on here. If you want to look up Igor Sikorsky or anyone who's very famous, you should be able to find a biography. Don't think I'm on there yet. I did say yet. Another thing is finding a milestone, which can help you. But probably most of all, you might want to find an aircraft. In other words, you might have some technology. And was there a prior aircraft that did that? So I recommend you look here. Look at this VSTOL wheel. I've already got it pulled up. It's a little bit too large, so let me make it smaller so we can look at. Now, you may not be familiar with all the different historical vehicles, but, you know, the VFS has pulled everything into a lot of different areas to help you look for things. So, you know, for example, if you have a tilting duct or a tilt wing or a tilt rotor, you can go on here and here's some vehicles that were already out there and you can click on them. Let's do the Bell X-22. Let me make this a little larger for you. So you see here is some information about that vehicle. So you can do that, and by going back and forth between the wheel, you can get some information. Once you know the vehicles that were flown in that, then you can go back to your search resources at Flightpedia and look for the Bell X-22A, find out more technical information, what people wrote about it. Look at the information there. That may help you to understand and help you design your vehicle a little bit better using things from, you know, real engineers who have been working in this area for many, many years. So you want to pick their brains, and this is how you're going to do it. Now, when I was going back and forth, well, let's see, let's do a aircraft. So you should be able to see. So here you can look by the aircraft name. And again, you can scroll down. There's many of them on here. There's more being added daily. There's different variants, because sometimes the different variants, if you know what you're looking for with different kinds of engines or approaches, you can. And then there's also these different vehicles. So for example, let's pick, let's show, let's look at aerospatial here. There's this one. So you see this is an attack helicopter. Oh, well, I picked on the wrong one, the Harbin one. But this is a Chinese helicopter. And so you get to see some overviews. And it also gives you links to different milestones. So here, for example, is the first flight. This one actually doesn't have much. Like, here's that aerospatial one. It goes back. Okay. But it gives you some information, layout, power plant, main rotor, tail rotors. Let's find a better one. I was trying to avoid the Black Hawk, but I think we might do that. No, well, here, let's do this one. Let's do the Airbus helicopter. There we go. All right, this is a very famous helicopter. And you see here it has the fenestron, otherwise known as a ducted tail rotor, in the back. So that might be of interest for some of you to find out. But there are information here, power plant, main rotor, tail rotor, some performance details. You see, sometimes it's not there, but in a lot of other instances, it is there. There's some resources, none here, and then images. Yes, I think would be information. Let's go back to coaxial rotors. I think some of y'all would be interested in this. You can look at the U.S. patents. This is a great thing for you to look at. So ducted rotor unmanned aerial vehicles, for example. You can actually go in and see the actual patent. You can get references from here, what's claimed, look at the actual information. So a nice resource. This is why I'm saying Flightpedia is, in my opinion, the place to come when you need to look at these things. NASA reports, I mentioned that NASA report server. So here example is an example of a computational study for coaxis. There's DTEC. There's a bunch of papers here. And you see a lot of them, they go way back, even as late as 1963. This is one from Leningrad University. And you see team competitions and all sorts of informations that are out there. And then there's various other links that you might want to try. So here are documents. Here's European Rotorcraft Forum documents. You can go to different searches. These are links going through there. So here is CiteSeer that's linked through Penn State University. That's another linkage, another vertical lift research center of excellence. So you'll see a lot of information here as well. Just so much data. I think it's probably quite easy to find the information that you're looking for. And the nice thing is you see that everything we're looking here is for flight vehicles. So you don't have to parse through a lot of different things. Here's one of the books that I was mentioning. Excellent book. Here's another excellent book, Rotorcraft or Helicopter Theory by Wayne Johnson, Rotorcraft Aeromechanics. Those, of course, you have to buy, but depending on your needs, they may be worthwhile. Some of these have additional links, so you can see different search engines that you can go to find other information. So just an incredible site that I recommend that you go to. And of course, I showed you before how it links to the online store. If you already know what you want, or you just want to go through, you can go look at the specific forum proceedings. Let's see if this will work. So here you can see the different technical sessions. So this was our forum from this past May. And look here at all of the different areas. So again, acoustics, advanced vertical flight. This is where you're going to see some advanced concepts. Aerodynamics, aircraft design, again, new concepts, a lot of eVTOL in those two groups. Avionics and systems, crash safety, also very important for GoFly. Crew stations, human factors, how do you make it so that your pilot interacts? Dynamics, don't forget, you don't want, your rotors hitting things. Hums, handling quality. History, a lot of great history papers as well that might help you avoid problems that other people have come and met already. Again, lots of different areas. I highly, highly recommend that you take a look and peruse these. I think Flightpedia will help guide you, but, feel free to come over here and look at the forum proceedings. And again, they're here for many, many years. Goes all the way back to forum number 1. And then our Nikolsky lectures. Nikolsky lecture is the top lectureship. The one for 2019 is about to be announced. And these are where we have different experts in the field. These are folks who have worked for 30 to 40 years, typically in their area, and they will give you the benefit of the doubt, or not the benefit of the doubt, they'll give you the benefit of their knowledge and help you understand in a very particular area what you need to know. So I also recommend looking at these as well. And again, those of you who want phase 1, a lot of these things you're going to have access to, or you can join as a as the small business, as Mr. Hirschberg said, at the great, I think it was 60% discount, and have access to all of this. We use it all the time in my group. It's an excellent, excellent set of data, and I highly recommend it. So I'm ready to turn this back. Mr. Hirschberg, do you have any final comments before we turn it back to Go Fly?
Yes, thanks, Marilyn. That was great. Really appreciate that. A couple, just as we were talking, a few things. So, particularly with the respect to noise. So we do have a web page specifically with some online resources. I don't know, a couple dozen different papers and articles on helicopter noise and VTOL noise. And that's, our website is vtol.org. And so vtol.org/noise. Has access to those things, and if you are a member or you would like access, if you're a member, you get access for free. If you would like access, we can give you a password for that. I also wanted to highlight that if you, for one person on every team, you get a free membership and you get free access to the online journal. So that when Marilyn was showing all the journal results and papers, the technical, that's the cream of the crop. Yes. And technical papers, the premier, vetted, peer-reviewed. This is the cutting-edge research or description of the latest understanding of the technical phenomena for vertical flight. So that's a free part. If you are a member, you get pretty much 50% off of the technical papers from the proceedings. And then, like Marilyn said, if you join as a small business, you can get free access to all those papers. Another thing to mention is Flightpedia. So again, this is a member-grown resource. So we're also always looking for contributors. So we've got the photo album, the photo gallery. You're welcome to contribute photos that you've taken and donate those to the Vertical Flight Society. If you have time and interest, you can help us populate our database on that and contribute biographies, things like that. So we're a member organization, so we would like everyone working on GoFly to be members. We're supporting you guys, and we want to provide as many resources as we can to help you guys advance vertical flight technology. And then one thing that wasn't mentioned, just if you are not on a GoFly team or otherwise would like to join us as individual members, for a professional, that's $95. If you're retired or under 30, it's $50, and then students are $25, and that's around the world. We don't have any additional shipping charges or anything like that if you're outside the U.S. So I think those are the reattacks, or the by the ways I wanted to add. And with that, Marilyn, again, thanks so much for giving that very detailed and useful information. And Nydia, we'll turn it over to you for follow-up with Q&A.
Great. Thank you so much, Mike and Marilyn, for that incredibly informative webinar for us. I'm sure many of these resources will be incredibly valuable to our teams. Some of the questions we have coming in are certainly related, Mike, to some of the questions you just addressed so far around membership. Is there a particular person on my team, as in, should like a person based on their particular role that they're playing on our GoFly team, should someone, like, based on what they're doing, join VFS, or should we just select anyone to be able to have that membership?
It's up to the teams. I believe all the team captains were sent notices maybe in July or something on joining, but we keep a registry of all the teams. So if you are a registered GoFly team, anybody on the team can contact us, and we'll get that free one-person access set up. And again, we would like everybody that's working on vertical flight and one of the GoFly teams or just interested in vertical flight to join us. So so everybody should join.
Great. And then I know that in the benefits section of the phase 2 of the GoFly website, it lists contact information for VFS to access everything. But in order to access our free membership, should we contact Valerie? Is there someone else we should be in communication with?
Yeah, so Valerie is our membership director. So the easiest way to contact her is membership@vtol.org. So send her a note. Like I said, one free membership per team, and she'll get you guys hooked up as far as a member, and plus the additional access to the online journal.
Perfect, great. Who is the technical point of contact we should interact with at VFS if we have a question?
Let's see.
Well, if we have particular technical questions that we're looking to address, or any issues perhaps that we might be having with our membership or with information we're looking for in our searching or things like that?
Yeah, I would. So anything related to membership in any way should go to Valerie. And this, I think Marilyn did have my direct email up there, which is director@vtol.org. Anything that Valerie gets, you can direct to me, or you can send direct to director.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that, Mike. If I can't find the topic that I'm looking for on Flightpedia or the other resources that Marilyn mentioned, what should I do?
So as far as if there's something specific, then you can, again, contact me as a director or Valerie as a membership. Also, Marilyn has volunteered to give some kind of pointers as far as generally how to use the tools and understanding of the research for those who would like some more explanation, in general beyond what she's discussed today. She had her contact information on her cover slide.
Great. Thank you so much, Marilyn, for offering that. Our next question, on the evtol.news site, are you able to share the underlying database on the characteristics of the various vehicles?
It's actually not a, so we've published, what we have online is what's generally available to the public. There's not a database per se from that. So everything we have on that is essentially online, but it's just in the hard coded on each of the pages.
Okay. Is VSF offering any discounts on your conferences?
Yes. So if you're a member, you get a discount of attendance, and generally about $100. And if you are, generally we have early bird registration as well, which is also generally around $100.
And if our team, our GoFly team would like to present our work at a VSF conference, can we do so? And what is the process?
So yes, we would be very happy to host any of the GoFly teams, who are registered competitors, to present at one of our conferences. So just contact me, director@vtol.org, and we will work to integrate you into the schedule.
Great. Let's see. Can I attend the specialist meetings, and how do I find out about them?
So so the answer is yes. On our website, vtol.org, when Marilyn was showing the website, on the left-hand side is our upcoming events, or you can go to vtol.org/events, and it has the list of the upcoming meetings, conferences. So again, you get a discount if you're a member, and you get a discount for early bird. I should also mention that we do have chapters around the world, and they do have different vertical flight centers. They do have generally, it's all done by our members, so it's crowdsourced in that way. But they generally have, many of the chapters have frequent, monthly or several times a year have like dinner meetings or lunch meetings or seminars and things like that. So it's a great way to get involved in a local level, to network and to learn more about vertical flight technology.
So, Mike.
Yes.
I've got the vtol.org website. Do you want me to pull it up for just a moment and show them?
Sure, that'd be wonderful.
Okay, let me do that.
And just as a kind of a summary, I mean, we are a membership organization, so we have lots and lots of benefits if you're members. We do have also stuff that's available to the public, but in essence, we need people to join so we can help support them as best as we can. So if you go down a little bit to upcoming events, that's all the coming events. And on the left side, the little icons for the different activities. So we have an event in Virginia, and then in South Korea, and then in the UK, in the Phoenix area, Huntsville, Alabama, Australia. Our big 75th anniversary forum will be in Philadelphia. And then the European Rotorcraft Forum next year, which we also support, will be in Warsaw. And as I mentioned, we have chapters around the world that have local dinner meetings and such.
Great.
And here's the annual forum information. You can see all about Forum 75. People were asking about registration. Here it is. If you're connected with a company and you'd like to exhibit, I believe there's still a few, very few.
We'll make space.
Yes, there's, okay.
Either
Travel, if you're interested, here's an eVTOL short course that's going to be provided. And so there's lots and lots of information here. If you want to submit a paper, if you're writing a technical paper, you can, let's see, that's not here.
It's under the main page.
You can submit it, and they are due on October 29th. Here we go, the abstract deadline. So if you'd like to write a full-up technical type paper, like you see in the forum proceedings, this is how you do it. The abstracts are only 5 pages long, and we provide these templates. Then there are some other items going on. Here's the registration rates, etc. So, you know, a ton of things. This is where everyone comes, that anyone who is anybody in vertical lift comes to the forum every year.
And it's a great way for both, you know, the masters and the apprentices, those both who are seeking to educate and those who want to learn, come to the forum. And again, this will be our 75th anniversary. Marilyn, can you just go over to education?
Absolutely.
And then hover down over the last line there, the video library.
Yeah.
So click on that for a second. So this is a landing page for our different videos. If you click on the first link there for the Forum 74 videos, for instance, so members get access. Well, some of these are available to the public on our YouTube channel, but members only. There's a lot of other links here to different presentations from our last meeting. And then, again, on our YouTube channel and Vimeo, we have, I don't know, 30 hours of lectures and different presentations. And we're constantly adding more. So we're really trying to educate as much as possible on the very exciting and very challenging world of vertical flight technology.
Marilyn and Mike, can universities exhibit at the forum as well?
Absolutely. We have a booth. Georgia Tech always has a booth. A number of U.S. and typically it's U.S. Because we're in the U.S., but certainly, yes, you definitely can. And it's quite affordable.
Great. Anything else on the forum that you would like to share with our participants right now? Otherwise, I have a few more questions for you.
We will have well, this year, the 75th anniversary in May in Philadelphia will be a special program that's basically starts Monday morning with different events. We have a short course Monday afternoon. The technical program goes till Thursday afternoon. We'll have tours on Friday. So it's a week-long extravaganza of vertical flight knowledge sharing and just celebrating 75 years of the industry and the Vertical Flight Society. So we hope everybody can come. And it's the week of May 13th in Philadelphia.
Great. Obviously, there are an incredible expertise amongst all of the members of VFS. Is there some sort of forum, for example, if we're looking for some expertise or we have some questions about what we're working on, that we can post to be able to access the members and seek their advice and input?
Yes, we do have an online forum, which is called Hover. So it's hover, hover.vtol.org. And I don't know, is it on the front page? But this is a members only section, so so the answer is yes. You can post information. You'll see some of my posts, other posts here. Of course, I guess Marilyn, you're, I guess as a board member, you see some of the board posts here as well.
Oh yes.
But yes, we do get questions, and Marilyn mentioned questions and answers. You know, try and keep them objective. We had a few people that got a little too passionate or opinionated on certain things, so we try to make it a positive experience of posting and information sharing.
Okay. And the last question we have is, if I read an article and I want to reach out to the author, am I able to do so through the VFS member directory?
Well, that's a very good point. We do have a, through the member directory, which you can reach on Hover, you know, 6,000, almost 6,000 contacts on there. And generally, at the end of each article in Vertiflight, we usually have contact, a direct email to reach out to that person to answer questions.
Great. Well, once again, thank you so much to both of you for such an informative session. I'll just take a moment to give our founder and CEO of GoFly, Gwen Leiter, to offer a few closing thoughts.
Hello, all. And Marilyn and Mike, thank you so much for that incredibly informative lecture. I thought that I knew almost all that there was to know about VFS, and I did not. Your wealth of offerings are extraordinary and will, of course, be incredibly valuable to our GoFly team. So thank you very much, both of you. So I would encourage all of our teams participating in phase 2 to absolutely accept that free membership with VFS. And if you have any questions, obviously for GoFly, please let us know. You already have contact information for VFS as well. And we look forward to helping you to attain success while you are building your personal flying devices. As you all know, GoFly's grand sponsor is Boeing. We are joined by our corporate sponsor, Pratt & Whitney, as well as over 20 different aerospace organizations, of course, including VFS. So thank you to all of our partners, thank you to all of our sponsors, and thank you to all of our teams for listening today. And especially thank you to both Mike and Marilyn for putting all of those resources together in one easy to digest master lecture. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thanks, everyone.